morning and welcome. Today is August 21st, 26, and we are here for the Legislative Committee of the Colorado Forest Health Council, and we're so glad to welcome you all. I'm Larimer County Commissioner Jody Schatt McNally, chair of this committee, and proud to be on the Forest Health Council. And I want to welcome all of our committee members. Let's go ahead and take roll call. Allison, are you doing that this morning? Thank you.
Yes, and before we start, if you all haven't met, Corbett, will you introduce yourself really quick since you're supporting this committee today?
Sweet. Yeah, thanks, Allison. I believe I've met some of you, at least online, but I am Corbett Mossy. I used to be DNR's Accessibility and Communication Specialist. Our lovely state budget has ended that role, but Allison and Courtney were gracious enough to allow me to take over for Roberta while she is on maternity leave. So I've been helping out with CoSwap for probably a couple of months now, but yeah, Courtney is out this week, so I'm taking over for her today. And yeah, thank you all for allowing me to be here and trusting me to hit the record button on this.
Thank you.
Thanks, okay. Corbett, and you're going to do a lot more. So let me go through roll call, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Samantha Albert, Pat Dorsey, Christina Burry.
Morning.
Commissioner Jody Schatt McNally.
Present.
Mark Morgan. Commissioner Medina.
Present.
Julie Stencil.
Morning.
And myself, Allison Lurch. I'm present.
Thank you all for that. So we have quorum, correct?
Yeah. Oh, and
awesome.
Commissioner Nina Waters just hopped on as well. Welcome.
Hello, Commissioner Waters. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the agenda. And we have a few things to do today, but I wanted to can you put up the agenda for me, Allison? I don't know if I can pull that up.
Absolutely.
Let's start with the minutes first. Let's talk about our minutes first. And anybody have any, I looked at those minutes. Anybody have any concerns or questions about those minutes? All right. So I will welcome a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Is there a second? Great, Pat, thank you. And Pat Dorsey, let's note that Pat Dorsey is here as well. And let's, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, and that's unanimous. Let's go ahead and move on to our next item, which is we're talking about the biomass update. Is that, or that what's number 2, Allison? You're on 5. Can you go and scroll down? Or you just want to go into the updates?
Let's see.
It's item number 2.
I have on us next is update on 2027 legislative priorities.
Yep, let's do that. Yeah. And so, also, do you want to start with that? But I wanted to note to everyone, during the Mountain Pine Beetle Full Task Force, one of those committees working on biomass brought up that they felt like this wasn't being addressed about trucking costs, and I brought up to him that we are actually been talking about this before South Council about addressing some of those needs. Some other ideas were to allow those trucks to have an agricultural license plate. I understand that innovative out of the box thinking, but I can say that would be met with maybe some resistance, because those are much cheaper license plates, and that would probably, with the clerks and all of those, that would probably, and also the farm community, that might bring up a little bit of resistance. So just wanted to share that we're trying to also let folks know that we were talking about this potential biomass transportation update. I have had some conversations, but we're following up next week with some leaders of the Association of County Commissioners to talk about this need and how we were looking for kind of a narrow fix or focus for that. And so we had Mark Morgan and Courtney and Allison and I had an update on this. And Allison, do you want to fill in for the rest of that about any other conversations that we've had? Thank you.
Sure, absolutely. And I'm going to turn my camera off for a second because my internet's a little weak. Or just let me know if I go robotic, please. At the start, after we made this legislative recommendation and approved, we reached out to the Colorado Mass Timber Coalition, and we originally had conversations with Maggie Gomez, who was working with them on some of their own legislative priorities. And she works for an organization called Advocacy Rising, and she's a senior associate for them. And so since our conversation with Commissioner Mark and Courtney, we did reach back out to Maggie because after our initial discussions, the Mass Timber Coalition was going to have this as one of their top priorities as well. But after we reached back out, Maggie let us know that that the Mass Timber Coalition is not going to be running this policy next year. So there's maybe not a need to continue to connect with them at this moment. But it doesn't mean that we should not. It just means that they're not necessarily concurrently thinking about this as well. So we're gonna kind of just close that door on follow up with the Mass Timber Coalition for right now. But Commissioner and Mark, Courtney, and myself have some next steps on how to continue this conversation and how to build more information of what we are really looking for. And so we are thinking about setting a meeting with some state and county stakeholders. A few folks that came up were, and I'm very sorry if I say this last name wrong, Kelly Flanagan with CCI, to get it on their radar with concerns that counties might have on roads and maintenance. We do have a CDOT contact that we're going to put on this list. Megan Maxwell with Colorado Timber Industry Association. I know that this is a big priority for the Timber Industry Association. And then we're working with DNR's legislative director, Sarah Hamming, on some West Slope legislators or commissioners who may have some other insight on all of this. So that's one of our next steps for the biomass transportation update. The next one, just really quick, is that Mark Morgan is has offered to look at information from other Western states like Idaho, Montana, Arizona, and New Mexico, to also gather what issues or what gaps or barriers exist in other states that could potentially, or other information that could potentially support us building on this recommendation and moving forward. So that's the update. Those are the notes that I have, Commissioner.
Thank you. And thanks for that update with that they are not making this a priority bill, but did they indicate at all they would not be supportive if we go forward? Would they join in being supportive or in opposition? Did they indicate that at all?
I don't know if they would be supportive. I do not think that they would be opposing, but we could ask that directly if they would be of support.
Great. That might be a, always want to ask just in case people try to, maybe it'd be nice to know if they would have opposition. So that's important. So anyway, thank you, Allison, for that update. I saw someone did someone have a hand? I heard a peep.
Yeah. Commissioner Waters.
Oh, Commissioner Waters, thank you. Sorry.
That was me again. Sorry about that. Can you guys hear me all right? I'm out in Hayden, Colorado, and I know cell is really bad right now.
Yes, we
Yep,
can hear you.
Okay, Great. Perfect. I was also curious to know if, similar to the vein of Commissioner Shattuck McNally, if there was any indication as to like, is there a future? Did they indicate whether there was an interest in the future of bringing forward a ballot measure of that type regarding transport, or
A ballot measure or
not a ballot
legislative?
measure? Excuse me, legislation. Apologies.
Okay, thanks.
Not enough coffee.
And that's why I just took a sip of my own too. I think the only thing we got, and I think we just need to follow back up with Maggie, is because all we heard is that they just weren't going to run that policy this next year. So it doesn't mean it might not come in the future, right? So we'll just,
Okay.
what Courtney and I can do is dive back in and continue conversation with the Mass Timber Coalition to see about future transportation policy recommendations with them. And I definitely don't think this is a closed door also, because we really love working with the Mass Timber Coalition. So yeah, I will definitely follow up with that too.
Great.
To follow up on that though, and I don't know if this is the appropriate time in the agenda, but I will have to hop off at 9, so I wanted to get this in. There was a similar conversation. There's a presentation at the most recent Water Congress where members from the Mass Timber Coalition, as well as the Keystone Policy Center, Esther Vincent from Northern Water, and they were discussing a white paper, and a lot of the work that we're doing in the Forest Health Council is overlapping with that white paper. And so I was curious to know and how we would bring about, a connection with the Keystone Policy Center to see about, introducing them to the council, because essentially what they were trying to discuss is also everything we've outlined in our 30-year vision. And so I was just curious to know how we would go about making those connections and who are the right folks to make those connections.
So Commissioner Waters, I'm going to have Allison jump in. We presented as a Colorado Forest Health Council a couple of years ago at the Water Congress to talk about our vision. We have some overlap and connections, and I do know we have some overlap with this 30-year plan with other groups like the work group and others who are also doing similar work. There is a lot of overlap. I appreciate, I love your thinking on how we bring folks together and maybe have not duplicative efforts, and maybe we need to go back and maybe have them come and just be part of the conversation. But I know Keystone has been working on some of these things, and I know some of them do know about our 30-year vision because we did put it out so broadly. So I just wanted to share that that I feel like they do know some things that we've been doing. I'm just not sure if maybe every individual in that group knows everything that we've been doing. So Allison, would you like to add on to that?
Yeah, and I was actually sad to miss that presentation, Commissioner. And so I believe what Esther was presenting on is a product that's coming out of the Wildfire and Watershed Initiative for Resilient Colorado group, the work group.
Yes.
And earlier this year, they hosted a forest restoration economy workshop where, it was awesome because we had more industry folks in the room than agency. And I think that was really powerful. And from that, this work group or at least Esther at the helm, along with Ben Guion, have produced a roadmap. And so they have a draft roadmap of where, from their findings, where we believe we need to go in the state. I had talked to I'm part of the work group, DNR is, a couple other folks, CSFS. So we met as an action team maybe 2 weeks ago now in person. And the work group is very interested in coming to present to this legislative committee to also present on some of the things that they have going on, especially in this forest restoration economy space. So, Nina, the way I described it to them, because they said, we don't want to be duplicative, And this work group has more of that ability to dive in and get more specific, get more on the ground, and really do that research needed. And so I shared with them that the work that they're doing is complementary and not duplicative, and that having us more aware of what this white paper or roadmap, and really sharing more about that, it could be very helpful for us in the future. So that was my approach with them for right now. I'm gonna share the roadmap with everyone too.
Well, Allison, I was just going to bring, Esther works at Northern Water near about 10 minutes from my house. And I saw her at the Coalition for the Poudre Watershed, Poudre River Fest, and she sent me that white paper. And so and I was just going to send it to you, Allison, but you probably have it because you're on that work committee, and I forgot about that. Thank you. So I think we have had them present to this committee before. I think you said that, Allison, but yes, we have had that. And so they have presented, and they have been a part of our discussions. So I just wanted to share that that this is great that you see this item as well. And so yeah, it's important work that, and I have gone to some of their meetings when they've been up here, and I've talked to Ben and Esther, and so I individually, and so I just want to share how I'm glad you got to see the presentation and talk with too. So, and I know they've been working with Laramie County's workforce and economic development, and they are very much aware of our $200,000 study for woody biomass that we had done with the outside consultants. And we have that, and we have a website with all of the showing what, all the work and how much, and it talks about developing this circular economy with woody biomass in the industry. And so that is why we are looking for grants, but also next week I can't say how I'm going to vote or anything, but we are putting on our agenda for Tuesday is a sales tax initiative to work on wildfire mitigation, watershed protections, and developing this woody biomass network. So that was spelled out in the woody biomass study that we did with the grant from DOLA. So I hope that's helpful, Commissioner Waters.
No, that's incredibly helpful. And it sounds like there's not anyone I need to connect because the connections are already made. And I'm glad that the work is overlapping. I was just wanting to ensure that, yeah, it sounded very similar to the things that we're doing and the recommendations. And so I just wanted to ensure that at some point they will get a present, or we will receive a presentation from them and their findings. So I appreciate it. And it sounds like everybody's working together and I didn't even have to do nothing. So that's great.
Yay. Well, but it's also just maybe a good reminder that maybe we should take some time, maybe even the Forest Health Council, just reminding everyone, kind of like a heat map of here's Forest Health Council and here's Legislative Committee and Allison and so is on work and why mountain pine beetle, Allison and I are on that, and Allison's really doing a lot of facilitation there. We should just remind and show how the different connections, I want to say tentacles, but they're not tentacles, they're connections, and how hopefully it's not being duplicative, but there is overlap and connections between all these groups to make sure that we're communicating. And even with Forest Trends, I've been connecting with Forest Trends and U.S. Forest Service, and they have a big event next week and things like that. So I think I appreciate you. I wanted to be at Warga Congress. Esther was sad that I wasn't coming. So it's just, it's great that we, that you were thinking along the same lines. So let's go ahead and move on. Speaking of which, we're having a ribbon cutting on a 4-year project that I've been working on this morning. It's our emergency services building that we're moving from the old building, which can only really hold 5 people. And we had the search and rescue and the dive team, nonprofits in closets in that building. And it's in the floodplain along Poudre River. And for 4 years, we've gotten grants and took in some of my broadband ARPA money that I was working on broadband, and we built a off-grid geothermal large building for emergency services to store all their things in there out west of town, northwest of town, to get early access for suppression and wildfire mitigation and training, and then all the dive teams and those 2 nonprofits were allowing them to move in and be situated out of there for coordination, and also to help them because they are nonprofits that work closely with us. And we're doing that, cutting that ribbon today. So very excited about that. All related. The resolution update, Allison, you want to share with that? I have had a couple of conversations. And so I need to follow back up on that just to confirm, because I'm assuming I have an idea who might be the next Speaker of the House, and also working on the appropriate people for having on the Senate side for the resolution. And so we're, Allison, you want to share how their legislative staff at DNR is writing the resolution and share with that and update on that.
Yeah, just Commissioner, I think you really covered it. Just internally at DNR here, we're in the process of drafting a resolution to adopt the 30-year vision for forest health. I expect a draft to be, my hope was that a draft could be presented at the at our next legislative committee meeting. I really wanted it to be today, but a couple other priorities came up in the last week or so. So either by our next, that's my hope, is we have a draft in 2 weeks to share with this group. And then also I would figure that we might have some back and forth and some edits to the resolution to shore it up. So that's where we're at right now.
Excellent. And then the next update is we're still setting up some legislative meetings and committee members. Certainly I will be trying to attend as many of these as possible, and we are opening it up that we'll get a schedule and we'll get that out to all of you. So if any of you would like to join some of those meetings with the legislators when we have discussions about the transportation bill, or even with finalizing the resolution update, I just talking to some of the, we think who will be the leaders of the House or the Senate, just because we'd love to get this resolution done early before things get really dicey and we get near the long bill and things get lost, but then have this in front of everyone and on their minds, especially all these new folks coming in about the forest 30-year vision and all those things. So maybe some of the newer folks and their newer legislative aides will have an education at the beginning of the session where everyone's happy and glad to be there, and we're not having it dropped in the middle of a tense time. So that's my goal, at least. I think Alice and them are also kind of that along that line. And so we're fingers crossed. So I think that we'll get those out and get you all up to date on that. And I think we just have to have those publicly noticed. So just wanted to share that. Allison, you might anything to add for that?
Yeah, we just, I believe emails have gone out. We sent emails to 13 legislators. I've got the list here in front of me, but I don't know if I should read it all. And so I expect us to hear back and start putting dates on calendars in the next couple weeks. Director Dan Gibbs has also expressed that he would like to attend some of these meetings too. He's got a much more restrictive schedule, and so that's why it's, I think we would love for him to be there. And at the same time, we also want to prioritize getting something on the calendar as soon as possible too. So that actually will be the priority, is getting calendars, getting meetings on the calendar. And we should be seeing those ASAP.
Excellent. Okay, Allison, next item I'm going to have for you, unless you have someone else, about the CSU extension shift for the Colorado State Forest Service, or is that for me? I just wanted to bring up, I had, as county commissioners for some of, I know Commissioner Medina and Commissioner Waters know CSU Extension has connections and partnerships with every county. And Larimer County has especially strong connection because they're pretty much right next door in our offices. And I know also, Allison, I don't know if we should announce, and maybe Christina would like to share that I'm assuming some folks will get to hear about the opening of the nursery is coming up at the end of September, and that we had supported and helped when we were early on for that first year or two as a legislative council and the first full Forest Health Council. So, when it was interesting, when the CSU extension folks came and presented to us as county commissioners, they have a person in extension who does forest health and is out talking to landowners about forest health. And I said, oh, well, do you know about the 30-year vision? And they said, no, what's that? And so I realized there might be a gap there. And so I was saying, hey, could you look at the 30-year vision, talk about the Forest Health Council? You have people that are on our council that are now under extension and with the Colorado State Forest Service. And they're actually out on the ground talking to landowners and maybe a whole nother universe of folks to talk to and connect and to bring about this work. So I just wanted to share about that. And so there is some shift, but I think it's really important that exciting to hear that we have this another connection and maybe ambassadors or out sharing information with folks. And so I wanted to share about that. And Allison or Christina, do you want to add to any of this conversation?
I'm happy to. Thank you so much for acknowledging that. I think this is a really huge thing for the State Forest Service in terms of elevating our profile with CSU. Before we were under Warner College of Natural Resources, and it was great for research partnerships, certainly the connection with Colorado Forest Restoration Institute that was part of Warner, or is part of Warner still. But the move, I think, elevated the State Forest Service under a vice president who works directly for the president. So we've seen, I think, some more recognition from CSU leadership about the work that we do, which is huge. But you are correct, Commissioner Shattuck McNally, that there's still a lot of work to do on the connections between Office of Engagement and Extension, which is hundreds of employees, I think over 300, and then our agency. And so we've established, myself, I chair it with the Chief of Staff for Office of Engagement and Extension, and we're meeting monthly with leadership for both organizations to try to first, priority one is build relationships and knowledge about each other. So we recognize those gaps and the opportunities that are there, especially like you're saying with the counties that the extension agents have. And so how can we build upon that? I would say most of my time is spent on this transition because we want it to be successful, not just for us, but for you all, because I think it is a great opportunity connecting with landowners in our local communities. So that's where most of my time is being spent. And happy to share more about that with anyone. But yes, we have an internal steering committee that is focusing initially on building relationships and shared knowledge across the two. And then once we build some trust, there's some figuring out of, roles, responsibilities, who's doing what, and trying to build that trust internally. Then we'll talk about sharing resources. And I think we're already working well together, but that's kind of the next phase once the relationships are built. So happy to answer any questions about that today at any point. Thank you for
thank you, Christina. It's exciting. And it just happened to be after I got out Mountain Pine Beetle, we had a Forest Health Council, then I had this extension, and it was like, oh, wow, look at all these connections, and very excited. Allison, you want to add anything to that?
No, I don't have anything to add. Just agree about the excitement, and I just appreciate all the updates, Christina, and know that transitions take time, but we're really excited for you all and support you.
Yes, very excited. And Allison, I don't know how we can share the white paper if that's okay to do or not, but it would be great.
Yeah, I just saw that come into my inbox, so I'll forward it. I'll send the white paper to the legislative committee after this meeting.
I'm assuming that's okay to do because it was presented publicly. So, okay. Wonderful. Great. Let's move on. And Allison's doing the watershed and work group update. And I think you kind of already did, but you want to do some more?
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing to add, I would say, is that I think so. And as Commissioner Waters mentioned earlier, the work group is facilitated currently by Keystone Policy Center. Keystone Policy Center has been able to receive funding from foundations and water utilities and other folks across the state to facilitate these conversations. However, we are in a time with the work group of evaluating what we've accomplished or over the last year and a half, and where we want to go in the future. And so the action team met like I said, 2 weeks ago, and we did a SWOT analysis as WOT to talk about and just to try and dig deeper into where we might want to go in the future. Funding for the work group only goes to the end of this calendar year. And like we said, that funding is for facilitation. So there's some questions there about continuation and who might, if we wanted to continue with this group, who would continue. So I think right now we're still highlighting the priority of the forest restoration economy, as mentioned earlier, and that we understand it is a huge need in this state and a need to continue that conversation and building of opportunity statewide. So I am so happy that Esther was there to be able to share that at Water Congress. I think it's really important that we're sharing these messages, not just from the work group, but some of our forest messages as well from this council beyond just our forest and wildfire partners. And so that invitation from Colorado Water Congress has been so welcoming and wonderful to be able to really talk about that connection between the work that we are doing and the water resources and watersheds in our state too. So as Commissioner mentioned, the CSFS, DNR, DFPC, U.S. Forest Service, many other folks, the Nature Conservancy, and many others that have connection to the Forest Health Council are also participating on the work group in the capacities that they can. So we'll see. We have a next action team meeting in a couple weeks to keep talking about this sort of SWOT analysis of where we might want to go in the future. And so I'll have some more updates for you all on that next time we meet.
Excellent. More good things to look forward to. Very excited. And Allison, you are aligned with this in so many ways. So I'm really grateful for that. Let's see. Next item. I'm trying to see if I can pull up this picture, but I think, remind me, did you say that we were going to be getting an update at the full council or just for us as at legislative committee, or is it both?
From the work group or Mountain Pine Beetle? I just didn't know if we...
For the work group and then from Mountain Pine Beetle, so.
I think the work group would really like to present to this committee first, especially since we're all more in diving into the details on all of this. So that would be their preference for right now.
Okay.
And for Mountain Pine Beetle Task Force, there will be a pretty, hopefully not too low, hopefully a good update at the full council meeting next week. So.
Great. I'm looking forward to that. And just for folks to know, there is very close a 2-pager kind of communication document at endeavor coming soon. and it's very close to being brought. So I just wanted to share. We'll probably have that for the Full Forest Health Council, I imagine. So this is great. So looking forward to that presentation in our Full Forest Health Council. So, okay. So I'm just trying to get my picture to send so I can share with you all, but that's not happening. So any other updates? Where are we at? Any burning ideas, what you'd like to have at our meetings? I know we're just kind of getting updates here and there, but any other for concerns or things you'd like to have more information on? So just wanted to ask you if anyone has some things they wanted to have more information about for our next meeting. Don't see any information. Okay. Well, what I was been trying to get this to send, I have at my campsite. I'm camping in Marine Park near the East Troublesome burn area. And I've been hiking that area every year since that fire, and they had opened it up. But in the camping area and all these beautiful old growth signature trees, ponderosa trees, I noticed that pretty much every campsite has these little green packets in a post, which is the pheromone package, or I think it's pheromone, right, Christina, to help push and tell the beetles, oh, this tree is full of babies, you don't come here. And there's a little sign underneath it. It says, mountain pine beetle, do not touch. This is important to save the trees, or something like that. So I probably counted in a quarter mile over 24. So I just wanted to share that because I know, and that's in my county. And I keep saying we should do more in our open spaces, because Hermit Park is pretty much directly east of us in that park. But I'll try to see if we can send that to Allison and send it out to you. And it was just cool to see action being taken. It heartened me to see this, because and the trees are just huge, and I call them grandfather trees because they're just old and huge and giving shade, and I just wanted to share that. It just gave me a lot of hope, and it's just great to see some things that are happening. Pat, I see your hands raised.
Yeah, thank you for that. And unfortunately, I've been sitting here quiet, and I thought of like 3 things that I would like to bring up. So one is the packets that you're talking about sound really cool. And I'm wondering if there's some opportunities for those of us that work with nonprofit organizations to do some volunteer projects and help distribute those. So Christina, if that's something that's going through the State Forest Service, or I don't know if it's something going through the park, but if there's a way that we could engage some volunteers, I think that'd be something they'd be all about, right? Like normally they get called to clean up trash out of a campsite on a national forest or something. They'd be really interested in something like this. The other thing I wanted to mention is, as a committee, and we're talking about things that we need to look at and presentations that we need to have with the fires that we've had this year, with the Aspen Acres fire and the Ferris fire and the Elk fire, and you name it. Is there some need to start talking more about reforestation and rehabilitation and things the state can do to aid wildfire recovery? I know the Aspen Acres burned a lot of private land in particular. And then the last thing I wanted to bring up is, I think we've got some time, but Commissioner Medina, I want to make sure I don't miss your last meeting to call you out for your contributions to this committee and the tour that you helped set up in Pagosa and all of that kind of stuff. And so, just in case you're planning on skipping out on the last couple of meetings, I hope not, but I think we should do something to recognize the commissioner before she leaves us.
Thank you, and I agree with you, and we'll try to do this at the Full Forest Health Council. I know it's online, but certainly I hope that you will be there, Commissioner Medina, and very grateful for you, and you have been a great voice and a great advocate for your part of the county, and I hope that we still all stay connected and that you keep using your voice because you're doing a lot of great work. So Christina, would you like to say something?
Yes, I just wanted to respond to some of Pat's questions. So, but also acknowledging Commissioner Medina, who is amazing and wonderful. So, but yes, I had some thoughts for some of the questions too.
Do you want to just leave those for the next meeting so that
Sure, yeah.
you have some brief things right now you could address with that, and then we can add those to the agenda to expand if needed. But I mean,
Oh,
just
yeah,
brief,
totally.
yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Let's see. So Pat, on the packets, I actually don't know if that's Park Service or us. I know that we, in the past, before this huge boom in activity for mountain pine beetle, I know our folks got funding from some of the ski resorts and like wealthy landowners to hang packets, do the thing. And I think they got over tapped, and then they were ending up referring them to, I think, some companies that they could hang packets on their own. So I think that's an ever evolving program. That being said, I know it's kind of too late this year to do anything. So maybe for next year, I think planning what that looks like would be great, like with Dan West and his staff, and what the expectation is for packets, because I know there's just so much interest for that. And we need to, I think, coordinate during this time to plan for next year. So thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, if I can pause you there real quick. We're really, and I'm sorry to interrupt, Christina, but I wanted to share, we did have a Mountain Pine Beetle Coalition meeting, which is different than the task force meeting yesterday with Dr. Dan West. And I think they're quarterly, but there are a lot of information, latest and greatest. But they did mention that, especially in Clear Creek and some, I forgot, maybe Gilpin, the beetles are really still flying quite a bit. And so this is not the time to put packets up, but they really mentioned how much they've seen activity in Clear Creek County. And they're, as I understand, collecting, and they're getting all these traps and of the collection of the beetles that are flying, so they can kind of see how many in each county. And then they're going to be doing that gathering of data, and then bringing that, we'll be sharing that out, so kind of other counties will know how active the beetles have been. But it probably, like you said, probably won't be for another month, maybe two, because it sounds like they're still really active in some of these counties where they wouldn't be flying. And so any measures to do that right now probably are futile with them flying. So yeah, so I just wanted to share that. But sorry, Christine, but that we had that
That's
coalition meeting, and that I was like, I want to see the data now. And so, but yeah, but I was, as always, it's always informative. And I see Commissioner Medina has her hand raised.
Sorry, I put it in the chat, but I wasn't able, it didn't send. So I guess I missed, what is in these packets? What is it, and what makes them so fabulous?
Yeah, they're sort of fabulous. There's still a lot of controversy about the effectiveness of these, but as far as like what's in them, it's pheromones. So it is different than like a pesticide, in that it is just like how Commissioner Shattuck McNally was describing it. How it was described to me is like at the hotel, there's like a no vacancy sign. That's kind of what this pheromone, it's called verbenone. It's what it indicates. It's like how the beetles communicate that a tree is full. And so hanging the verbenone is a way for them to get the sense that like, oh, this tree is full. I shouldn't,
Yeah.
live in this tree.
And there is some other companies that have come out with different things that are spraying that are different. And so that's kind of getting to some controversial conversations about who or what, but if some of those, I don't know if it's a verbenone, but the other one, effectiveness is only really about 21 days after it's applied. And I don't think it's the packets are, but the other ones. And then it gets down to non-therapeutic or levels. And so it's just a lot of experts who are debating about the effectiveness of all of this. But I do feel like the packets seem to have had some success, but I don't know how long they last. It's been a long, hot summer. And so by the time they put them up and now they've been flying, I'm sure by the end of the time they're done flying, they're pretty much zapped out. But that's just my unexpert understanding of the issue. So I hope that helps. So, okay, so Allison, did you want to answer, and then I'll go back to Christina. I want to answer Pat's last question. Go ahead, Allison.
Absolutely. I just put a link in the chat from some information from the State Forest about semiochemicals. And then also some of these things that we talk about as far as like whether it's spraying, carbaryl, or we're talking about MCH or verbenone. A lot of these solutions aren't necessarily forest-wide solutions. Actually, they're just not, right? These are expensive solutions for the protection of fewer trees. So you'll see a lot of times, like I went to Mount Princeton Hot Springs this weekend, or sorry, I always thought it was the weekend, this week. And they have some beautiful ponderosa pines, and they just put a bunch of packets on the trees right along the walkways, right outside of the pools. And of course, then, surrounded by, vast forest around that. So just, there's different applications for all of these. And this article is really good from State Forest Service.
Thank you for finding that. I know, yeah, that's why there were only, in Rocky, they weren't on all the trees, certainly on the larger signature, I think it's signature trees, right? The ones that they're trying to protect. So Christine and Pat, your hands up again. I know Christine was going to have her answer their question, but go ahead.
Yeah, I want to hear Christina's answer. I just wanted to mention to Allison or in Corbett for the record, maybe I heard a couple of people say they tried to paste something in the chat and it's not going through. I also got that message that chat messages aren't going through. We can somehow read the messages posted by you and Corbett. And I don't know, mine is not that important, but I don't know what everybody else pasted. So I just wanted to make you aware of that for minutes.
I appreciate that, Pat, and I've noted, and maybe we can figure out if you do have something that you would like to make sure that we have, that would you please email me or share it in another way so we can put it for the record?
Yep, that would be great. I think that's important. So, and then Julie has her hand up. Julie, you have your hand up?
I think you're muted, Julie.
Sorry. I seem really slow too, so sorry about that. Maybe I'll shut off my video, maybe that'll help. With my comment tied back to the chat not working earlier in the meeting, I was trying to message that I missed my note to myself to share when approving minutes, that the minutes show me as absent for the 24th. I wasn't, I think I was a little late joining, but the minutes later reflect I was there and motion to adjourn, etc. So I was trying to put that in the chat and it just wouldn't work, and I wasn't fast enough with the motions and approvals. So
Okay, so
just to make sure it's all correct.
Let's take a quick motion. Julie, do you want to make that motion stating what you wanted? Would you make the motion to amend the minutes to show that you were present at the previous meeting? You just joined maybe a little later, but you were there.
That's exactly right. I would move to amend the minutes previously approved in this meeting for the July 24th meeting to reflect that I was in fact present. I just joined after roll call was taken.
Is there a second?
Well, point of order. So I would be, since I made the motion, I would be willing to amend that motion. And
Excellent.
I think since Pat seconded that motion, we would have to be willing to amend the motion.
I think that's great, Commissioner Medina. That's another way, easier way to do it. I just thought since we had taken a vote, maybe I just needed to go ahead and move it back. But either way, I think from either whether you're following Bob's or Robert's, it's we'll get it done. So if you're willing to amend your motion, Pat, are you willing to amend your motion to say that? I can't. Did she say yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so we have amendment, both moved. Let's go ahead and just take a vote that we approve the amendment change for the minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, that motion passes. Thank you, Julie, for that. Okay, my internet is not allowing me it happens when I'm home. It's not allowing me to send this picture. So I will send it and forward that to you all, or forward to Allison to just be able to share with you all so you can see what they look like for those that haven't seen that. And so we don't have anything else on the agenda. Does anyone else have any other? Oh, Christine, you want to answer that last question? Sorry. Go ahead.
Yes. So thank you. So recovery. Gosh, our hearts go out to that area of the state. There is a state recovery task force that is being led by Department of Public Safety and Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. And CSFS and actually Extension have a seat. However, it's kind of a new informal group. I know DNR has a seat, but I think the state agencies are figuring out real time what their roles are in the state recovery task force. But just know that it exists and they are meeting. At least from the State Forest Service side, we have our watershed manager, Weston, attending for there's like working groups. I think there is probably like I think there's several working groups. And then our science and data director, Amanda West Fordham, is looking more at hazard trees. So yes, on reforestation, revegetation, I think that there will absolutely be a huge need for that. Now, scientist Christina's going to talk now. Okay, so with post-fire recovery, I think, yes, there will need to be some thought and planning about revegetation and replanting. But now I think the goal right now initially should be around like stabilization. And so if you think about, I get planning outwards for replanting, but I wouldn't replant anything at this point in time because you're still going to deal with erosion and mudslides. Like the stabilization is the most critical piece. And yes, revegetation and replanting is a part of that long-term stabilization, but in this time frame, I just don't want you all wasting time and energy and money and putting in trees and little, like when they're there's a possibility they wash away.
No, and Christina, what I was really wondering was like, and it sounds like since there is that other group at some point in time, if they could come and talk to the Forest Health Council as a whole body or to our committee, if there's anything we can do that's needed from a policy perspective or a legislative perspective. We ought to all align, I think, because it's all part of forest health.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that would be a great idea. Yeah.
So before we go to Julie, I've been living this since Cameron Peak and East Troublesome. And we had the Black Hollow debris flow that killed 5 people. That was post-fire flooding. Just up from my house in Glen Haven, there was probably 23 flash flooding areas from the Cameron Peak, when it washed out the road like 3 times in a week and a half. And I was up there walking the roads that first year. I go up every year. I'm going up this year again to plant trees in the burn area. And there's some studies and some research there with Coalition for Poudre River Watershed. So I think if you would like, I can have the folks who were leading that efforts and some of the research and some of the things we could also share because we had so much stabilization work. We had the city of Greeley, who that's part of their watershed. And here we had this everywhere I go. Well, Greeley's doing this. I'm like, wait a minute, it's our county. What is Weld County doing in Larimer County, right? But they were bringing buckets of mulch and dropping, I think it was $15 million they got, where they're dropping tons of buckets of mulch on the steep sides, trying to stabilize the hillside. And then also after Alexander Mountain, which is right close to my house too, just about 6 minutes away, the next day, say Loveland, because that was their watershed, and they probably would have had to they would have been in a whole world of hurt. Then probably 2 days after the fire started, they were right there spraying and stabilizing the hillside. So I just want to share that's we've been living that, and we're still dealing with the hydrophobic soils and how it sterilizes the soil, and it's that thick layer of hydrophobic soils I've got. So certainly we can share lessons learned and all those things, but it's still something we're going to be dealing with for many, many years. Julie, your hand's raised, and then probably we're going to have to make sure I have to end early so I can get up, drive to this new building. You're all welcome to come, Christina, but Julie, your hand's up.
Sure, thank you. I just wanted to, Christina, mention as an add-on to what you were saying to Pat's question, when folks are starting to do that planning of what needs to be done, what bodies are needed, where are they needed, just a reminder, in addition to thinking about the collaboratives and the nonprofits, et cetera, keep corporate America in mind. You know, they have foundations, they have days of service, they are looking for projects, ways to engage in their communities, and they are a fantastic resource for people and dollars to help with these projects in a very focused effort. So as those task force and working groups are thinking about that, I just want to flag, we've got a lot of major corporations in this state who have foundations and employees who are looking for ways to help. So keep that in mind as part of the ways for folks to connect in.
Right, and I think that's an excellent point. You know, we have barrier bags they're putting around houses for that flash flooding that were ugly as heck, but they kept the houses from being washed, you know, and you, Christina, you drove by those, you probably know what I'm talking about, right? They're ugly, but they kept the homes there until things get stabilized, and eventually they'll have to be taken out, but they're $50,000 a pop for that house. So just want to say, and a lot of that came from funding and grants, because certainly we didn't have the money as the county, but a lot of that federal changes are different now. And so I don't know, I think you're right, corporate America might be having to come help local governments in areas to come save the day, because I just don't see that coming from other of our federal or state partners, because well, the state we know is strapped, but the federal government hasn't been even helping other flooding areas around the country. So anyway, Christina, I think we talked about this in the Mountain Pine Beetle about reforestation and recovery. And we also talked about in the Forest Health Council, but we focused a lot on pre-fire planning. But, you know, I know it's in our forest vision of how we recover and build, and maybe that's something we should talk about. Do we need to put a little more emphasis or talk about that in helping, since we have, if you think about in the last few years, how many fires we've had, and maybe that needs to be some focus and some time. So maybe we can just maybe add that to the agenda, at least just start that conversation, because we're going into thinking about the next legislative cycle. So I don't know, Allison, what you think about that, but that might be a good conversation to start. All right. We're there. Everybody, good discussion. Yeah. And I'll get that picture. I'm so frustrated when I'm home, I can't send pictures out of my emails. So with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
All those first, well, Julie, then Commissioner Medina, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Hey, we're adjourned. Happy Friday, everyone. Thank you for being here. Great discussions. We'll see you next time. And I wish you all a wonderful, beautiful weekend. Take care.